Hello and welcome to another episode of the FPL Hangover podcast, where we raise the bar and lower the tone, all things FPL related. This week, folks, we're coming at you with an FPL Hangover first. That's right, we're recording in the AM. Don't know what made us do it, but we're in the newly acquired FPL Hangover studios, and we're recording here at 9 o'clock sharp. And if this was an episode of Sesame Street, folks, today we would be sponsored by the number 9. Game week 10 started off with Leicester putting Southampton to the sword and placing 9 sweet, sexy goals past them. If you were an FPL manager that was holding on to Leicester assets for the last couple of weeks, trust me, your ship came in this week. And speaking of ships landing into port, my podcast partner in crime, Seamus, how are you getting on, my friend?
Better than some.
Yeah, this has been take 50 of the FPL Hangover.
Yeah, take 29 anyway, yeah. But yeah, no, I'm doing okay. A lot better than I was Friday night.
A lot better than Southampton are doing.
Yeah, a lot better than Southampton, who've had to give away a day's wages to charity because of their completely inept performance on Friday night.
What did you make of that whole charity donation thing?
Yeah, fair play to them. They should do something to make some sort of gesture, kind of as in a way of an apology, especially for those fans, because that stadium was emptying when it was 3-0.
Yeah.
But they were a guy down as well. If they were 3-0 down and the stadium starts emptying, you'd start thinking, that's a bit bad from the fans. But a man down and just seeing the performance they're putting in, yeah, it was pretty poor. That being said, Leicester were fucking smashing in goals.
They were smashing in goals. 9-0, as we mentioned already, and I'm sure we're going to mention at least half a dozen more times on the episode. But 9-0 that we saw very little of in FPL terms. We weren't owners of Vardy, who got himself a hat-trick and assist. Jose Perez, a man that FPL Hangover listeners will remember from pre-season, and I'm sure left many manager with a bitter taste in their mouth. Mm-hmm. He
left some on cloud 9, surely.
Oh, here we go. Now we've started. Yeah, no, exactly. He banged in a hat-trick this week, and any ghost teams that happen to be floating around the place would have been pretty happy to see their scores, I'd imagine.
I'd no ill will against him getting a hat-trick. At first I was like, of course, he's gone and got a hat-trick. 8 weeks, 7 weeks, 6 weeks after everyone's got rid of him. But yeah, look, he's probably not highly owned in any of my mini leagues or against any players I'm up against in head-to-head leagues. So yeah, as you said, only ghost ships that we have him at this point.
That problem, though, unfortunately doesn't carry over to the other Leicester asset that we mentioned there, Jamie Vardy, because quite a few managers would have brought him in this week and the week preceding it, and I'm sure for many more weeks to come until you and me both get him in, and then he stops doing anything.
Yeah, it's one of those things I don't really love. I will do it, but I don't love transferring in forwards when they've got, or attacking players when they've got an away game.
Yeah.
Actually, even defenders, because you're more likely to win. A team's more likely to win and keep a clean sheet or score multiple goals in a home performance. And yeah, I just was like, Southampton are bobbins. There was a lot of people, other podcasts I listened to throughout the week were talking about Ings and stuff like that, because he had scored 3 goals in 3 games. And some of the feedback we got last week is you didn't discuss Ings at all in your show last week. I was like, that's because Southampton are shit.
Yeah.
And sometimes I didn't even consider them, and I still wouldn't consider them now. And I didn't see 9-0, but I totally wasn't thinking Ings was a good pick, and I still don't. I mean, they could have the best fixtures coming up in the world. It's I don't think Southampton's where to go. I'd rather go for a Brighton Maupay or something instead of Ings.
Yeah. Sometimes not saying anything is saying everything.
Yes, good point.
Yeah. So if we didn't talk about someone, that's because he's not fucking worth talking about. And I think that definitely applies to Danny Ings. But who it doesn't apply to, Seamus, is Ben Chilwell. A man that many have talked about, all season. Not so much ourselves. I think the focus has been kind of pretty much on Pereira and the fact that you could come under that with Soyuncu for such a cheap price. But a man who's been ticking along nicely all season, and he's still, 5.5. He's that $500,000 cheaper than Pereira. He had an absolute stormer this week. He got himself a goal, 2 assists, and a bonus point. Helped himself to a whopping double-digit haul. And I think, we talked about how we felt about Perez and Vardy with their hauls this week. Where did you stand on the Chilwell thing? Does that change your mind? Or
well, I thought, first of all, his owners, which wouldn't have been very high, were a bit unlucky, because he actually should have had a 3rd assist as well. I thought. Cross into the box that was tried to be cut out, was flicked on by a defender and then finished by Vardy. He didn't get the assist for that. So he could have had even more points. He only got one bonus. I suppose there was 2 hat-tricks.
There was,
yeah.
yeah.
But he was excellent. Everything came down the left-hand side. So him and Barnes was another who was excellent. He got 2 assists, I think. Again, could have had a third. His cross into the box was deflected at one stage, so that was ruled out. So he only got the 2 assists. But the 2, that's where it all came from, down the left-hand side. Southampton had their left back sent off, but it felt like they weren't playing with a right back.
Yeah.
Because everything came down there. So I don't know, having not watched the match, only seeing the highlights of Match of the Day, which were, they didn't go into the tactical analysis of Southampton, they just went into Leicester because they scored so many freaking goals.
So many fucking highlights.
Everything came down the left. Absolutely everything came down the left. And yeah, he's a great option. But I've seen a few people kind of, humble bragging. No, not even humble bragging, just outright bragging on social media, saying, oh yeah, I tipped Chilwell 2 weeks ago saying he's going to come good in the next 4 weeks, and I tipped Chilwell this week saying he's going to come good. And yeah, that's all very well and good, but people have been tipping Chilwell every week since the start of last season, not even this season. And he gets forward, he puts in a lot of crosses, he's quite attacking, but he doesn't give the output, So he's got the output this week, so congratulations. But for anyone looking at getting a lesser defender, the better option was Pereira and Soyuncu for his value, but Pereira for a more likely attacking output. Now, maybe going forward, that's going to change because it looks like Barnes and Chilwell, have a good understanding together, and maybe that's the way forward. And maybe Perez playing on the right-hand side of midfield for a lot of start of the season has blunted Pereira's attacking potential. I know Pereira got 2 goals in 2 games, but I'm not sure if Perez was in the team at that stage because he was dropped out for a couple of games.
Yeah, before we move on to the likes of Barnes, just going back to the Chilwell Pereira thing. So for you right now, this performance this week hasn't changed a whole lot in your mind. If you were to go with a Leicester defensive asset for the upcoming nice run of fixtures, you'd still be looking at either the expensive option being Pereira or the cheaper option being Soyuncu. Is that where your brain is at?
So you've seen that I played my wildcard in game week 9, so this is my second week off my wildcard, and I was looking to come down from Otamendi at one stage. I kept him on my team in the end, and he hasn't played in either game, so that's a problem I've got to fix. But at one point I was like, maybe I just make this Pereira and I just get rid of Soyuncu.
Yeah.
Now in the end I kept Soyuncu because definitely wanted Leicester coverage, but it was only those 2. I gave brief consideration to Chilwell. I'm not going to lie and say I didn't consider him at all, because then that would just mean I'm being ignorant towards looking at it. But I did look at it, but I was like, no, last season, anytime I thought of Chilwell versus Pereira, I went, Pereira was the guy who always came out on top.
Yeah.
He gets more attacking returns. Chilwell has the underlying numbers, they just don't seem to translate into returns, and it's been like that for the last 2 seasons, and it's been like that this season.
Yeah.
So, you know what, I was kind of like, if this looks like it's changing, if he does, because he's only a young lad, he's only 22, maybe 23. I was like, if this output comes, because Leicester have a great team this season, then maybe going forward it's moving towards this. Maybe that's next season. It'll all be like only Chilwell, and we'll be saying he's great value. But the evidence wasn't there, as in the output wasn't there before this game week. So now we can look at it.
Yeah, I think I'd be on your side there. I think I'd be definitely going with either Pereira or Soyuncu still. Chilwell's yet to really break himself away from those 2, in my opinion. But you mentioned a young lad there, and another young lad that we've kind of touched on already is Harvey Barnes. And he's a name that a few people are going to be talking about, post game week 10 classic, who's, what bandwagon can we be looking at that no one else is, really focusing on right now. And I think it's fair to say Barnes is up there in the top of that list for this week.
He sounds like a Cockney gangster in a Guy Ritchie movie.
Like
Harvey Barnes.
Oh, I was wondering, is his accent like that?
No, he doesn't sound like that. His name sounds like that.
Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, I can imagine him, in a starring alongside Pete Postlethwaite in a
not anymore. You
an
can't.
East End movie.
Not anymore. You can't. Rest in peace, Pete Postlethwaite. But no, he's coming in at 5.9. He's 0.7% owned, so he's a complete definition, or a definition of a kind of a punt. He's outside the template. So 4 assists in his last 2 games. Yet to play 90 minutes this season. Does that concern you, Seamus?
Well, that's the reason. Last year he was very, very impressive. And he looked really good. Couldn't really finish, but he was so attacking. He gave Leicester a great option on the left. Didn't start the first 2 games of the season. Didn't start the first 3 games of the season. And I was like, okay, well, that looks like him gone as an FPL option. But he has, played... What? He started the last 2. I don't know if he started the Liverpool game, but he played 45 minutes. And he started 2 before that. So he seems to be gaining the manager's trust more and more.
Yeah.
So I think for his price, he's definitely could be worth it. I mean, I could have easily gone for him instead of Callum Hudson-Odoi on my wild card, and would have been a better option. But let's see long term. I mean, he's got the same risk rotation as someone like Hudson-Odoi for that price. I think that's okay for his price. So he'll get minutes every game.
Yeah, and at 5.9, he is coming in cheaper than both Maddison and Tielemans, who would be the other Leicester midfielders that we'd be chatting about.
Yeah, I would rather him than Maddison.
Yeah.
Madison's 7.2?
Something like that.
So there's a good 1.3 in the difference. Tielemans, I like Tielemans. He's a great player, but it feels like his attacking output second half of last season when he was on loan was not sustainable. You can see it this year. I mean, I know he got a goal and assist in this game, but it was a 9-0 for Christ's sake. And he scored there a couple of games back as well. I think he'll tip in with goals every so often. So you got to be patient with the likes of Tielemans. He could be good. I might probably prefer Tielemans than Barnes if I'm being completely honest.
And so basically how you're ranking the Leicester midfield at the moment is Tielemans, Maddison, Barnes, or Maddison, Tielemans, Barnes?
I think I like Maddison the least.
The least?
Yeah, it's his price, and I think he's a brilliant player. But what's he scored this season? 3 goals. 2 of those have been free kicks.
Yeah.
So you're kind of relying on him scoring free kicks every so often, and
he is pricey. He's 7.3.
Yeah. How many free kicks does somebody score in a season? A good season, if somebody scores 2-3 free kicks, you're like, that's an amazing return for free kicks. So, I don't know. I think I prefer Tielemans, and I think at the moment I prefer Barnes. Like I said it when I was doing my wildcard 2 weeks ago. Come back to this wildcard, but it's Vardy and no one up front for me.
Well, you mentioned it there yourself. I think we can hum and haw about all the other options Leicester have, but at the end of the day, the big question is to Vardy or not to Vardy. And I think that question was emphatically answered this week, no?
Yeah. But and this brings me to my low point of the week, because I know we're going to get into those in a minute, but my low point was that Leicester game. I don't think I've ever felt as low about FPL in any of the last 2 or 3 seasons as I did Friday night when I came out of a lovely family dinner that I enjoyed with 6 or 7 of my closest family, and then see the score. I was like 9-0. Oh, Jesus Christ. Because you just know when you see 9-0 that it's like, okay, well, how many goals has Vardy got? He's definitely got a fuck ton.
Well, you see, you had at least you had the bonus of not watching it tick by as I had. So watching Leicester being 5-0 up, and Vardy had, was it a goal at that stage?
One goal.
One goal. I was going, oh, you know what? I've got away with murder here, because he could have done a Perez, and lo and behold, he does a Perez and bangs in a hat trick.
Yeah. So it was. I think it was goals 7, 8, 9 is where he got 2 goals and an assist. The assist for Maddison's penalty, which isn't even a real assist, but it is an FPL. Which is, these are the annoyances. You could have got away with it, and the reason it left me feeling so freaking angry, it was actually like a bull. I actually ruined my made me say words like frickin'.
Yeah.
And
it's put a block in my brain.
It's it actually ruined my, I was like, and then I was annoyed that this has ruined my mood.
It's a never-ending circle.
Yeah, it's a big old never-ending circle jerk. And basically, the real reason why is because I was so close to having Vardy in my wildcard team when I decided I wasn't going for Aubameyang. I was going for Vardy. And in the end, I went with Wilson. Oh, no, not Wilson. I did go for Wilson, but I went with Jimenez, really.
Yeah, he was the kind of decide. Wilson was in your team no matter what.
My 3 strikers were going to be Wilson, Tammy, and Vardy. And then I said I wanted Jimenez, and I couldn't not have Callum the Truth Wilson. So I said I'd go for... I said I would sacrifice Vardy.
Yeah.
And that difference... Okay, if I had just gone with him over... Vardy over Wilson would be a 25-point difference. I'd be 2 points behind you.
And you know what? I could say the same thing, and I feel like, to be honest with you, I won't repeat myself. But I feel like that, what you just said there is echoing through FPL Twitter, through FPL Reddit, through all the forums. I could have had Vardy. Because, I mean, the majority of people have a striker there, be it an Aubameyang, be it an Aguero, even the likes of a Wilson that I've been sitting on since the start of the season, that it would have been easy, or not easy, but it was very affordable and achievable to switch to Vardy. And then, you see him bang in a hat-trick and you're going, it's the what if syndrome.
Yeah,
you know?
that's what it is.
And
now, I don't know about you, but I was hoping we'd spend 9 minutes talking about Leicester. We spent 15. That enough?
I think it's about enough.
We talked about the guys we want to talk about. I do think that Perez's hat-trick means that he is now, maybe his season is starting now. And his price surely has dropped to something quite reasonable now, maybe 6.1 or something.
Yeah.
What is his price?
I'm not entirely sure, but it's dropped all the way from 6.5 down to 6.1.
Yeah, so he would interest me potentially going forward in this spell, but when you've been burned by a player now already this season, I don't know if I would immediately jump back there.
Yeah, it would take a lot for me to kind of go, no, I was wrong, he's on fire. It would take a couple of more of these fucking hat-tricks. But you're right, we have spent a bit of time talking about Leicester, and I think it's only right because, come on, they set a record for the highest away win in the Premier League.
Yeah, we have to talk about Leicester for a good bit. I think we have, but there are other games we should talk about as well. What was I've mentioned my low light. Let's start with the lowlights because that's the most fun part, right?
Yeah, that's my favourite part. Dwelling in misery and bitterness. My lowlight ties in a little bit to your own. So you would have been pretty miffed at not getting a piece of the Leicester action this weekend. Fair, that's understandable. But I was a little bit miffed that the only piece of the Leicester action that you did get was off your bench. Soyuncu. So really, my low point of the week is Fredericks not getting a fucking minute in the West Ham match. So you had the gall to set Soyuncu as your second on the bench. Not even your first fucking sub, your second sub. And cause Otamendi doesn't play, I'm thinking, okay, great. Fredericks is going to come on for you. West Ham have already lost their clean sheet. Nope, that's not the case. Fredericks doesn't play a minute because Zabaleta is carrying his old ass around the pitch for 90. And,
me and Zabaleta are the same age, okay?
What?
So he's not an old man. He just looks like an old man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're like the same age. It's one of those things. He's actually younger than me.
Fuck off.
By a couple of months.
Oh, how bad does that make you feel?
When I hear that, I'm like, it makes me feel bad and good at the same time because I'm like, oh shit, I'm old as balls now. But also I'm like, I look way better than this guy.
Yeah, he can have his millions. You'll never have this face.
If he has millions, why isn't he looking younger? That's what I want to know.
Maybe he's this is his plan.
Because he's a man, I guess. He's not vain.
I don't give a shit. But so Zabaleta played 90 minutes. Fredericks didn't see a second of action, which meant Soyuncu was duly obliged to come off your fucking bench with a clean sheet. This clean sheet, by the way, was my biggest, differential, and it was the one I'd struggled with all week in terms of the main question I asked myself going into game week 10 was Soyuncu or Tomori. Weighed them up, similar to what I had to do the week beforehand, but I weighed them up and I was like, all right, which is more likely to get a clean sheet? Tomori got one last week. Soyuncu didn't, so I was right. And then this week, same kind of issue. What do I go with? I'm not 100% sure that Chelsea are the tightest defensive unit out there, and they proved right this week with conceding 2 late goals to an already defeated Burnley. But as I said, getting back to it, that was my main decision: Soyuncu or Tomori. I decided I'd play Soyuncu. Got the clean sheet. Chelsea lost the clean sheet. Decision justified. That's why I do an FPL podcast. Boom. Nope, doesn't matter. Seamus gets him off the bench, second sub.
You got Tomori off the bench too?
Yeah, I got Tomori off the bench, which meant my whole decision was even more pointless. It was like, why did I spend
all the agonising
things? It's like, doesn't matter. I'm going to be playing both of those cunts anyway. So yeah, just that was my low point. Seeing Fredericks not play a minute, I was like, are you fucking shitting me? He's played all season.
Yeah.
But look, I'm not dwelling in the fucking depths of FPL anger anymore, Seamus. This is why we do the podcast. We want to exercise some of those fancy football demons and, get this shit moving. So with that in mind, what was your highlight of the week?
Yeah, so the highs this week was finally getting a captain return. I haven't had a captain return in each of the last 2 weeks before this. So to see Sterling get a double-digit score, 11 points, just the basics, man. Something as simple as a nice captain haul will do it for me. So that was definitely my highlight, because it wasn't a whole lot of highlights in my week. There was a lot of alright scores, 5s and 6s, but he was definitely my best performer, so I nailed that. So
yeah, another bit of a pain in the ass for me. I think a decision a lot of other FPL managers would have been struggling with this week was the Kevin De Bruyne or Sterling conundrum. Who do you captain?
Or Aguero for some.
Now, luckily we haven't been sipping from that poison chalice just yet this season, but there's plenty of more game weeks for us to, make a fool of ourselves. But yeah, so like the Sterling Kevin De Bruyne kind of captain debate. I think looking at the Champions League, Sterling playing 2 90-minute games, scored a hat trick. That's why he was in contention. But with De Bruyne getting the rest, and considering what De Bruyne could have had last week, that was my main kind of decision, or main reason behind going with De Bruyne. Was like, look, should have got a fucking double-digit haul last week. I'm expecting them to get at least one this week, and I fear that Sterling might kind of, if he starts, might get limited minutes, mightn't even start, might come on for 10, and that's what you saw with Sergio Aguero this week. A lot of owners would have been disappointed with him.
I was definitely surprised to see Aguero on the bench. But yeah, I just felt like the comments from Pep, which you can never trust. He was saying, Sterling's condition is so good and he recovers so fast. It made me feel like, well, this is a guy who's like fundamental to how they play at the moment. And what the real reason why I went with Sterling in the end is I've been mostly, I suppose, listening to people talking on other podcasts, on TV shows, on analysis from the professionals, the commentators, and the pundits and all that. About since Mendy's reintroduction to the team, how that's affecting Sterling's play, and how Bernardo Silva playing on the left in some games is affecting that as well. So Sterling is just getting into a lot more advanced positions, and Mendy's the one providing the width. So Sterling has been hogging the touchline a small bit less. Now he was still on the touchline quite a bit, but he was definitely cutting in more. And you saw in this match that the amount of times he was slid in behind, kind of like where Sané was always getting into last year. Like he could have had a couple of goals. He had a chance to slip in a couple of assists. A couple of times he dallied on the ball and things like that. So yeah, it was a great performance, and he's definitely going to be somebody I'll be looking to captain quite regularly in the next few weeks.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's interesting what you mentioned with Mendy and the difference he's making to Sterling's approach to the game. It's something I've been completely honest with you, haven't really considered yet, just because I'm not convinced that Mendy's up to 100% what he's capable of, so I hadn't really been looking at that. But that's a good point.
No, but it was also hearing the news just before the start of the game week that Zinchenko is out until after the next international break. So he's out for like 3 or 4 weeks. That I was like, oh shit. So Mendy's kind of nailed here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because that other guy, Angelino, is definitely a backup to both of those guys. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a case like we saw a few weeks ago. Mendy's going to start games, and if he hasn't got the fitness, hopefully, City are 2 or 3 or 4 goals up by 60 minutes, 70 minutes, and they can take him off then. So I'm kind of considering Mendy as an Otamendi replacement.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest with you, you mentioned him there. Otamendi is the reason I would be put off by Mendy right now, because that's nearly the exact logic I had when I got Otamendi into my team. Was like, oh, Stones is out, Laporte is out, Otamendi is sure to start. That didn't turn out so well, as we've both kind of reaped the rewards from that decision, sticking with him in the team. Do you not worry that Pep's defensive rotation is too risky?
Yeah, I don't think I've got a single point off Otamendi since I brought him in 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think he's rested the last 2. I think before that
they got hammered by Wolves.
Yeah, I don't think he got me any points there. Maybe he got me 1. I can't even remember. But yeah, he looks to be out of the team, so he's a problem that needs to be addressed. But I might just leave him drop. I don't know. The best way into the team is Ederson. Ederson got 9 points this week in a game that they won. What was it? 3-0. He was unbelievable. He made some class saves.
Yeah, and he's the one I got out for Otamendi. Yeah, I decided to save that $500,000.
I might just go in there and save that kind of hokey cokey. Cancelo interests me, but Walker is well established in that team, so he could come back in anytime.
Yeah, we're basically both in the same wavelength there. We're kind of taking our foot off of the Man City defense a little bit, at least for the foreseeable future.
Well, I kind of want to stay with it. I just think, but they've got 2 tough games up in game week 12 and 13. This is a lovely game here. I was tempted to keep Otamendi when I saw Fernandinho get sent off, but then I realised his suspension is going to be served in the EFL Cup there midweek, so he will be back for next week, and I just don't see Otamendi getting game time. I think he's just dropped further down the starting list.
Yeah. But look, getting back to the highlights, your highlight was Sterling scoring, and as I said, I went with De Bruyne, so that would have made your captain decision even sweeter, considering that worked out. But it wasn't always like that when we were watching the match, and there was a bit of controversy. KDB had a goal ruled off by the goal appreciation fucking society, or what the fuck they're called.
Yeah, whoever makes the decision on who gets the goals.
So, FPL, being the little bitch that they are, decided they're going to remove KDB's goal, award it to David Silva, another Man City midfielder who we've arguably overlooked over the last couple of episodes.
Yeah. He
picked up a goal. He's had a fine start to the season, and he's not too many points behind Sterling, if I'm correct there. But that whole decision definitely left a bit more of a sour taste in my mouth, considering that was literally okay, well, now he's got a goal, Sterling's got a goal, they're both gone off at 70 odd minutes. I don't have to worry about this game week. My captain's delivered.
Yeah,
that turned out not to be the case. Also removing a Mendy assist, which is what you mentioned there.
Yeah, Mendy would have been on for the 3 bonus points. This is when that goal was removed. I was quite happy to see it removed. For my overall rank, it probably improved me, even though I have De Bruyne, because it was giving Mendy the assist and then the 3 bonus points. Also, Sterling was dropping down, I think maybe to 2 or possibly 1. De Bruyne was coming up, so there was no difference. I think we're getting 8 points or 9 points each or something like that for De Bruyne and Sterling. So I wasn't really making any ground on those De Bruyne captainers, of which there were many.
Yeah.
So I was happy enough to see it ruled out, even though it took, I watched it 8 times and it was that's De Bruyne's goal all day. That doesn't take any deflection. David Silva says it does.
Which then would make him offside.
I saw one angle where you could see the spin on the ball changes slightly, so maybe it does come off him, but I'm kind of wondering, is the ball just accelerating off the turf when it bounces and spinning off kind of that way? So it's hard to tell, but the whole point is, if he had touched it, then it should have been offside, because Sterling is obstructing the keeper's view, and he's interfering with play, so that's offside. But that's not what they check for in VAR. In VAR, they say who touched the ball. It's does Silva touch it? It doesn't look like it. Okay, well then, is Sterling obstructing the original shot? No, but when they're not checking for the Silva touch once they decide it's there. So,
and the appreciation panel don't seem to give a fuck what VAR think, so they've neglected that.
VAR is ran by the Referees Association or whatever that is, and it's not decided by, or maybe the FAI, or not the FAI, maybe the FA. But it's not run by the Premier League. The Premier League and FA, of course, are separate entities. So Premier League decide who gets the goal, not the FA.
Well, look, we've said it time and time again, and it won't be the last time, but FPL is a cruel bitch mother, and this isn't unusual. It's kind of half the reason I love the game is because of these wacky, turn of events that you just constantly you just can't write this stuff sometimes, how fucking serendipitous it can come across. But look, we're talking about the high points and getting back to, a bit more positive news. My high point this week was a player that, has kind of been quiet for the last couple of weeks, Yarmolenko for West Ham. Came good this week with an assist. He also picked up 2 bonus points. Or no, 3 bonus points, my apologies. Picked up 3 bonus points, and his assist should have had more. I don't know if you watched the highlights, but
I did. Yeah. It was a lovely assist he got.
It was a beautiful assist.
And there was another chance he set up, I remember at one stage, I can't remember for who, where I thought he would have had a second assist.
Yeah, and he was peppering the goal with shots. There was a couple of good saves made, a couple of near misses.
Was it he who put the ball across the box for Snodgrass to slide in at the back post and he hit the post? It was
he that got a touch on it. The ball wasn't put across by him, but he did nick it and would have... I assume it would have gone down as the Yarmolenko assist, but you just don't seem to fucking know these days with the way things going. But that was a big bonus for me, considering I got rid of Salah for Yarmolenko to bring in Aubameyang, who, while he is yet to do anything, Yarmolenko has outscored Salah in the last 2 weeks. Salah not starting last week. Yeah, Yarmolenko only got 1 point.
9 points to 7. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
I'm happy that my transfer was Hudson-Odoi last week instead of Yarmolenko, and last week it worked out. Now this week it went the other way, but they both have scored 9 points in their last 2 game weeks, which is more than Salah, and has allowed us to free the money up front. Not that we've used it wisely, but
of course not. Mainly because neither of us decided to go Vardy. But you mentioned Hudson-Odoi there, and I think that brings us nicely onto the Chelsea match. And I suppose looking at the Chelsea match, that would have been a bit of a sickener for you to see Hudson-Odoi rested. What might make it a little bit worse is how well his replacement played.
Yeah, that definitely did make it worse. So just to I might touch on my points this week, because a lot of my points came in that Chelsea game. I ended up with 51 points this week. 5 from Mount, 5 from Abraham. They both got an assist. They both started. But my boy Hudson-Odoi did not start. And then I saw he got booked only a minute or so after coming on. And I was like, God damn it, what's he done now? He nearly won a penalty.
All he got and died.
We had this argument in the pub with a few scoops in us on Sunday.
Have you changed your mind and decided I'm right yet?
No, I think he was pushed in the back.
Do you think it was a penalty?
When I first watched it, I thought it was a definite dive.
Yeah.
And now I think, then when I was watching Match of the Day and I was looking, I was like, oh, you're right. I wasn't looking for the hand on the lower back, which is pushing him off balance. So if he's pushed him over in the box like that, then that's a penalty, yeah.
See, I don't know. I'd come down on the fence there and I'd say it's not a yellow card for diving, but I don't think there was enough contact with the push for that to be a penalty either. I think he puts his hand on the lower part of his back. I don't think there's much in it. I think Hudson-Odoi sees the foot coming across him, nothing to do with the push in the back. So we're going to have to agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, but we do both agree it's not a yellow card anyway.
No, I don't think it's a yellow card for diving. I definitely think, considering you are a football player of defensive origins, Seamus, you should be coming down on the side of the defender there, not the side of the striker. Shame.
I always do that. Like, for example, in the United game, I thought that the first penalty wasn't a penalty. The defender slides in but doesn't actually take the man. He slides in kind of alongside him. Doesn't get the ball, of course, but that's not a penalty just because you go down.
Yeah.
So there's a few like that. I also thought who gave the penalty for stamping on someone? The Brighton game, Brighton-Everton.
Oh, Connolly got the assist for it.
Connolly got an assist for being stamped on. Like, both guys, that's not a penalty either in my book. As a defender,
think so.
Like, that happens a million times for every corner in the box where people stand at each other's feet there because they're looking at the ball in the air. If the ball's up in the air like that coming together kind of happens. That's not a free kick. It's not a penalty. I think if the ball's at the striker's feet and you do that, that's a penalty.
But if he's in your team, it is a penalty. That's what you're saying. If he's in your team, it's a penalty all day long. And Hudson-Odoi was in your team, and he did deliver a 0 point. Like, I mean, again, getting back to the real reason I want to talk about Hudson-Odoi this week, and it's because not only did you see,
we're spending way too much time talking about like the difference between 0 points and 1 point here in my team.
But we don't talk about actual FPL matches, so it's fine. We don't waste our time with actual information. No, but Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, hat-trick in the first half of the match. Or, I don't know if it's the first half. He's fucking...
That's a worry.
It's his first hat-trick.
Perfect hat-trick. Left, right, and
was
head.
it the left foot? I didn't actually get to check if it was a left. I saw it was... I don't know if you'd say that's a header, but it's definitely not a foot.
Head/back. Yeah, it was a lovely, well-taken goal. He just manipulated his body well to get onto it. It reminded me of something like...
Ronaldo.
Hernandez would do.
Or Hernandez, yeah, that kind of instant thing. But I think Ronaldo scored a goal like that back in the heyday when you didn't have to worry about captaincy options because it was just Cristiano Ronaldo all day long.
It is a worry though, because now I'm like, will Hudson-Odoi start next week, or maybe he'll rest Willian? I don't know. Willian got a goal and assist and played well, so.
I think the safest option on that team right now, and it's something like I'm happy that this Pulisic conundrum is kind of a reason, because I was worried about Mount. He was the go-to Chelsea midfielder. 6.5, I think he's up to 6.9 or 7 or something now. But like, he was the Chelsea midfielder of choice, and all of a sudden Hudson-Odoi's come on the scene, look fantastic. And I genuinely think if Pulisic wasn't pulling these top-class performances out of his bag, that Hudson-Odoi would be nailed, no question. And as an FPL option, he's up in the top of the watch list. But now it's rotation season in Chelsea, you know?
So I don't like having two Chelsea midfielders now, even though that would probably guarantee me one of them playing each week. I mean, I can't say the word guarantee with any real certainty, but it feels like, if I have both of those, one of them will play. But I don't know, I might just bin off one of them. I have the money. I could change to Yarmolenko, but I don't think I will. Martial is an option for United. I was impressed with how he played this week. Yeah. And how did your team get on this week, actually? How many points did you have?
I was just about to ask you before I got onto my overall score. So you said you got 51 points this week?
Yeah, it was 51. Those Chelsea players I mentioned, Mount and Abraham, obviously Hudson-Odoi did nothing. Captain Sterling, which I already mentioned, I had De Bruyne, and I got the Soyuncu points off the bench. Other than that, Pope 1 pointer, Alexander-Arnold, who put in a load of decent chances in that game and really could have come away with attacking returns. That was 1 point. Lundstrom with 2 and was very unlucky not to have an assist in that game. Callum Wilson only with the 1 point because the scumbag got booked and came off after 73 minutes, and then him and his blanking as well. Yeah, Wolves didn't look great.
It was enough to see you get a red arrow though, am I right?
Yeah, I dropped 40,000 places, kind of stayed the same. My rank is now 1.52 million instead of 1.48 million. The average was 49, it must be said, so my game week rank was like right in the middle, 2.7 million. Yeah, an alright week. It really was a week that anyone I saw who made gains this week had a Leicester player or a couple of Leicester players.
Yeah, very similar to yourself. I got 53 points this week. I don't even know if our teams are too close, but you know, my Yarmolenko 8 points balanced out the kind of difference that your captaincy decision made, and the rest of it kind of, you know, we do share the likes of Abraham and Mount and whatnot, and any of our differentials, you know, did what differentials do and completely fucking blank. I'm looking at you, Aubameyang and Jimenez. But yeah, I got 53 points, as you said. The average was 51. Didn't see a whole
49.
lot of movement. 49, my apologies. You got 51. Yeah, so I mean, it was a red arrow, not much of a red arrow. I dropped from 530 down to 580, so a 50k red arrow is not the end of the world, but it was a nice green arrow on Saturday night. So
yeah, 27 points between us in the mini league now, so I am 27 points away from rising approximately a million places. Mm-hmm. It's very, very tight still, and that reflects itself in the FPL Hangover mini league as I'm looking at it here.
Well, bait it out once we're here.
Just bait it out now, actually. Yeah, so we David Grant is still top. Bearded Bozos. He's got 621 points. He got 66 points this week, which is excellent scores. A lot of good scores in there this week.
We only accept the best chance.
Yeah, most of the top 5 had Leicester players. Lukewarm FC, he got 74 points this week. He's on 594 points, so there's a bit of a gap between first and second. What are you looking at there? 27 points?
It's exactly the same as between you and me, and yeah. I bet you that doesn't feel like a gap.
Look, David has had a brilliant start, so let's see if he can maintain it. But Lukewarm is now up to second, and it's very tight thereafter underneath him. 2 points behind him is David Sexton. He's changed his team name again, I see. He's now 11 Keanu Reeves FC. Underneath him, then again, 2 points back further again, is Charlie Bennett's That Antonio Trust. And then in fifth, you've got Chicken Caesar Salah, and he's on 588. So there's 6 points separating 4 of the top 5, and obviously a bit of a gap there. And even that continues on for the rest of the top 10. I had a look here.
What I really want to know, Seamus, because I don't want to go through every member of the league as much as I adore him, but I want to know how far away you are from the top. So your grand total is 510 points, and David Grant is sitting at the top of the league with 621 points.
Yeah, 111 points difference there. Sorry, you're going to hear some clicking here while I just look through the rest of the league, because I want to see who was the top points performer this week. Top manager, so 111 points I'm off. Yeah. I'm actually got a red arrow. I'm down to 44th in the league. You're doing much better. Let's find
27 points better.
Yeah, so you're 26th.
Yeah.
Red arrow for you this week as well. It's competitive. There's a lot of movement. The top scoring manager this week, where was he? Had him there a minute ago with 80 points.
It's this kind of unprofessional attitude, Seamus.
There we go.
Really,
it's Peter Ovington with the Rubber Duckies. He got 80 points. Captain Sterling had Vardy, of course. De Bruyne, Mount, Abraham, and he also had Rico. Allison got him 3 points. Sayanshu. Yeah, he just had consistent. He didn't have any one player like triple captain Vardy or something like that. No. He just had a lot of these players.
Well, he had the standard team, but with Vardy, which seems to be the impression I've gotten looking through kind of the reams of scores. It's that if you're not, if you're in the 70s this week, you tend to have been, your normal Sterling, Liverpool, blah blah blah. They all kind of came good. Plus the Leicester acid, which fucking smashed it this week.
One manager this week in our league that I did notice, who's in a few of my other leagues, is Alan Jennings, who had the balls to captain Vardy this week, and that got him. He's only 1 point behind Peter there, so he got 79 points. So that turned out to be an inspired decision. And
you gotta love when your captain gets you a hat-trick.
Yeah. Because the rest of his team, other than that, we really only had returns for Sterling and Evans.
But look, fuck the FPL Hangover mini league. Until I'm sitting on top of that throne, this will get limited time, Seamus, on this goddamn podcast. But look, that's the FPL Hangover mini league, all said and done. In seriousness, fair play to David Grant. It's great to see someone absolutely bossing it. As you know, we've kind of been lucky enough to see throughout the season. I think that's one of my favourite things about this podcast. Something we didn't have last year was a mini league, and it's kind of going, oh look, you can, it just feels a bit more personal, kind of watching their actual teams as opposed to seeing them through Twitter.
Yeah. I feel like people are actually listening to us and going, oh yeah, they have made a compelling case for Vardy. They've just forgotten to follow their own advice.
I wouldn't go too far with the whole listening to us, Seamus. I'm trying to take that with a pinch of salt. But we do have some questions this week, Seamus, and you know what time that makes it.
Yeah, question time means it's time for the drunk tank. Okay, so we've had a few questions this week. We'll try and bait through them quick as possible.
Whoa. I need to put some Dutch courage in my tea here. This wouldn't be an FPL Hangover podcast
if we were doing it sober.
If we were doing it sober. Yeah. So sip a beer to all the questions out there.
Sip a scotch for the working man.
Sip a scotch. Boom.
Yeah. So the first question is actually from @FPL Beer Lover.
Oh.
Doesn't say if he likes scotch or not, but Liam has asked, have we ever tried the Match of the Day challenge?
For what it's worth, I hate scotch.
Oh,
that's
really?
all I had in the house.
But that's a scotch coffee, or is that a scotch tea?
This is a tea. This is tea with whiskey in it now.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. But have you ever tried the Match of the Day challenge? I have.
Well, you're a big advocate of it.
Just because, just like trying it every so often, it's good to clear the head. And I'm actually starting to think I might just start doing it, because the way it affected me Friday night, I'm thinking I might just start doing this more often for the next.
But you didn't watch the match Friday night.
Yeah, but I'd be better off if I didn't know any of the results till the end of the game week and just check on it Sunday night after all the games have been played and not worry about it all week.
How is that going to affect your mood? It'll condense it and it'll be more of a concentrated smash in the gut if it goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, but then I don't spend my entire Saturday watching the games going, I need these games to go my way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Look, I have done it before. I've enjoyed it when it's gone well. When it hasn't gone well, at least it's over and done with quickly. Yeah. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid, as opposed to just that slow, bad game week where everything's going against you and you need a punching bag or something to start. Well,
that's what you're married for.
Yeah, well, that's why I need a punching bag. I want to be taken out on her. But yeah, it's I like it every so often. Change things up. But have you ever tried it? I don't know if you have.
No, I haven't. I'm not one for, sadomasochism in my life, Seamus.
We did try it once, years ago. You and I, we watched, we didn't watch the United result. I don't know if we didn't watch all the football, but there was one time we didn't watch the United result, and we watched Match of the Day. I don't know what the fuck we were doing during the day. And it was the time that we beat Blackburn. United beat Blackburn. I think it was 8-1, and Berbatov scored 4 goals, and we had him in our fantasy football team.
We didn't watch United that day.
Yeah, and we watched it, and we had Berbatov. I don't know if we had him captain, but we definitely had him in the team, and he got 3 or I think 4 goals.
Was that not the day he got 5, or was that for Spurs?
Maybe it was 5. Yeah. Maybe it was even 5. He did something outrageous anyway, and we were there fucking jumping up and down, going, "This is amazing!"
Yeah,
but I think that might have only been the United result.
Yeah, and even then, this was before we would even considered it being called a challenge. But going back to my thoughts on it, I'm not a fan of it. I view it kind of like diets. Do you know? Yeah, sure. They're
not a fan of them either.
Not a fan of fucking diets, as you can tell. All bought and paid for, Seamus. But diets, you listen to nutritionists out there and blah blah, and you kind of tend to hear the same thing. That while they might work for most people or for some people. They have their negative effects. You kind of it's a jerk reaction. It's unstable. And then you're just going to do more damage going back to the way you used to do things.
I get it.
Which is kind of why I'm look, I don't want to discipline myself too much in terms of the FPL. I actually quite look forward to Saturdays. And as I said there at the start of the podcast, this kind of wacky fucking Kevin De Bruyne assist example, or for me this week, that kind of wacky shit. That's why I play the game. Is because, as I said, you can't write this stuff.
Funny.
It's hilarious. Yeah. So I wouldn't be a regular Match of the Day challenge kind of guy, but diets every now and again you can do with maybe taking a bit of a step back, laying off the old beamish and kind of going clear for a week or two, and I think that's fine with Match of the Day challenge.
Yeah, this is a perfect segue into what we want to talk about next, which is our new podcast, which is all about health and nutrition.
Yep.
So the Hangover Health podcast will be coming never.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't take health advice off us.
I wouldn't take it off me anyway.
Another question we have this week is from Drew at FPL Renegades, and he has asked, what percentage chance, I don't know why he's asking us this, but what percentage chance would you give Aguero of starting versus Southampton at the weekend? This season seems increasingly hard to nail a captain pick. Talk me through your weekly routine of picking your captain. What factors do you look at? Do you have any superstitions on how you make the final decision?
Well, I like to get the blood of a virgin, which isn't too difficult. I just go into the bathroom and basically throw that on.
Live with enough virgins.
I just live with enough fucking virgins, yeah. Just scrape some off the toilet seat. Oh, Jesus.
Oh. We're cutting this part. We are cutting this part.
Why is there blood in the toilet seat? But no, with captain decisions, I just keep it simple, stupid. I go for the player I think is going to get the most points. I don't think about it too much. I don't want to be blamed for making a stupid captain decision, so I tend to kind of play it safe. You know, in the sense that if I captained, I don't know, fucking, I don't want to say Vardy because he just got a hat trick, but say I captained Pookie, exactly, at home to Bournemouth, and you're going, all right, on paper, that makes sense. Bournemouth aren't keeping too many clean sheets, and Norwich are decent, or whatever, at scoring. So on paper, you're going, that's not a bad decision. If Pookie bangs, you'll go, yeah, of course, well done, kind of clever. But if he doesn't, people are going, why the fuck are you captaining Pookie?
I completely agree. I have this thing in my head where when I'm looking at captaining somebody, I always ask myself, when I look back at my season performance over at the end of the year, game week 38, I'm kind of looking back at my game week scores and my captain decisions. Am I going to go and look at my team and go, why the hell did I captain Yarmolenko in game week 6 or something like that? If I think I'm going to feel like that at the end of the season, then that's somebody you don't want to captain. That's a pure punt.
Yeah.
So if it's someone like Vardy who's established, you can look back and go, well, look, I captain Vardy in a strong home game against whoever. Or, that's why it nearly always sticks with Sterling or Salah or maybe Mane or Aguero or Aubameyang or Kane maybe. But like, you're not going to look back at the end of the season like, why are you captaining Kane? It's like, well, you know why you captain Kane because he's capable of hauls. But someone like Mason Mount isn't someone you can trust with the captain's armband yet.
No.
It's one of the reasons I have been shying away from giving Tammy Abraham an armband. Wilson is somebody who's trolled me in the past but has quality, so he can be trusted, you would think, or at least the logic is there for strong home performance against someone like Norwich. Yeah, give him the armband. Oh, he blanked. At least I can look back at the end of the season and go, the logic was there.
Yeah, exactly. The logic, yeah, that's the main thing. So long as you're not going to be looking back at the end of the season going, what was I fucking thinking? Because if you be honest with yourself, you kind of know when you're putting the armband on that player. If you've got that kind of feeling of like, oh, this is a bit of a risky one, it could either pay off and I'll be laughing or more likely crying myself to sleep tonight. There's not a whole lot more thought I put into it. I mean, do you have any kind of like, they have to be at home, they have to be scored?
The only kind of rules I have, and they're not rules per se, because I think you have to just be flexible. This is where you're always giving me shit because I'm always breaking my rules.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I'm not going to get
making them.
They're not rules so much as they are kind of guidelines that I try and
just like the speed
keep
limit.
as much as like you could now go 10% over the speed limit without getting pulled by the guards.
Right.
We all know that, right?
That's a fact.
So basically I already have identified a couple of weeks in advance when I'm doing my team and making my transfers who I want to captain. So I'm looking at the Man City last week and this coming week, game week 11 at home to Southampton. Now Southampton just conceded 9 to Leicester City. They're playing them in the Cup this week, aren't they?
Yeah.
So obviously depending on how it goes there, but I can imagine it's going to be a heavily rotated squad. They'll still batter them, and then they'll come out with their strong team at the weekend and still batter them. That's going to be 5-0. Now there is always the chance that after getting a battering, a team will just retreat into its shell and try and keep the scores to 1 or 2-0. I don't think Southampton have the players or are good enough to do that. I think they would still get battered by Man City, possibly in both games. So I've identified weeks ago that I want Sterling as captain here, and I haven't gone for Aguero. Will Aguero start this weekend? I haven't a clue. This is why I've stayed away from him. I would have thought he would have started the weekend just gone, having been rested the previous week. Surely he'll start this week.
Yeah, you gotta imagine that Pep is kind of pushing his luck with not starting Aguero in 2 league matches. 3 would be cause for a player to fall out with you a little bit.
Yeah, but does Aguero fall out with him if he doesn't play him now midweek in the EFL game?
See, I don't think so. I don't think any player worth their salt really gives a fuck about the EFL Cup.
So he's going to start Jesus then. Is that what you think?
I'd imagine. I don't know. See, that's the thing. I mean, I'm with you in the sense that like you don't know what he's going to do in the EFL Cup, because it wouldn't surprise me that he starts Aguero midweek and starts him at the weekend. Do you know, that wouldn't shock me.
And the thing to note as well is when he brought Aguero on this weekend, he kept Jesus on the pitch, so they were both playing together. So that is always an option as well. He could decide he's going to play the two of them, or maybe he rests Sterling.
Maybe
God, I hope
he plays
that doesn't
the
happen.
two of them midweek. Do you know?
No, he won't play 2 midweek, but he may play 2 at the weekend.
Well, we'll see. This time next week, Seamus.
Percentage chance of him starting at the weekend, 50-50. 50% him, 50% Jesus.
I'm higher.
Maybe 51%. I give him a slight edge over Jesus, but
I'm 80% Aguero.
We haven't seen the midweek game, so it's like I'd have a better idea after that maybe.
80% Aguero. You heard it here first, James.
Yeah, as I said, those are the only things I would do. As I said, I try and captain it at midfielder over a forward usually because they get more points for goals and potential clean sheet. And where possible, I try and go at home. So, moving on to our next question there. Boom, boom, boom. Luke, who's actually moved up to, I think this is the same guy. Yeah, it is. FC Lukewarm, at FC Lukewarm, which
second
is
in the league.
Luke Burgess, who's second in our league. He's asked a really good question, one I've considered before. Do we think Gomez finally gets a look now that Matip is out for a while? Gomez has pretty attractive price for a Liverpool defender if he does get the nod ahead of Lovren. Now, personally, I think Lovren's ahead of him in the marching order. Pecking order, that's the word I'm looking for. Marching order, that seems wrong. So I would still rather have Lovren there. I actually had Gomez, or I traded Gomez in the draft game maybe after game week 3, because I thought Gomez will come back in. He's third choice.
Traded him in or out?
I traded him in. I wanted to get rid of David Luiz because I had David Luiz when he was a Chelsea player, and then all of a sudden he became an Arsenal player, and I didn't want an Arsenal defender. So I thought, you know what, I'll get the third choice because maybe Matip doesn't stay in there, or maybe Matip gets injured at some stage, or maybe Gomez doesn't even seem the second choice right back. Milner started there the last game, and was that Europa League?
Yeah, so you were originally thinking Gomez, but you seem to have shifted. And I mean, I think it's fair that your opinion has shifted with Lovren starting at the weekend.
No, I like Matip, but if he's out, I don't think I'd go for Lovren because I don't know how long Matip. I actually don't know how long Matip is out for. Do we have news on that? 5 weeks?
About 5-6 weeks, yeah.
Oh, I don't like Gomez. Sorry, Luke. Maybe you have a different opinion?
No, I don't. I think Liverpool have kept 2 clean sheets in their last 10 matches. So clean sheets wise, it's not like they're screaming at you. I think it's a transfer waiting to happen, which is something I am always hesitant to do in my defence, especially. It's because I just like to have my set 5 defenders and then pretty much be keeping at that for the season. So I mean, as far as Gomez goes, I wouldn't be overly excited. I would be sticking with either Robertson or Armstrong, even both. Armstrong. I keep calling him Armstrong.
Yeah, Alexander-Arnold or Robertson are the way to go. Even Van Dijk hasn't looked as attack. He had a great chance to score in the most recent game against Spurs, but the first few game weeks he hasn't had that attacking threat that he had last year that I thought he would bring into this season. So I'm not even sure about Van Dijk anymore. Just Robertson or Arnold, unless Van Dijk keeps kind of getting chances, then maybe as the season goes on.
For Van Dijk, I'd need to see Liverpool start keeping clean sheets. I mean, with Alisson back, I was hoping that would strengthen up a little bit, but as we're talking about Matip being out, there's obviously still a bit of unrest in the Liverpool kind of back 4. So with Gomez, no, I wouldn't be looking at it, and with Liverpool defenders, I'd be sticking to the fullbacks. But what else are we looking at there, Seamus?
Next question we have there is from at Lava1Anch.
It's supposed to be Lavalanche?
Lavalanche, but Lavalanche, but the L is a 1, I guess.
Quite clever, Mr. Lanch.
All the kids are doing that these days. So he said, Sterling and De Bruyne, will they survive Pep Roulette this weekend? People seem to think we know what Pep is going to do with his team sheet this week. He said, he's a few questions. So he said, that's the first question. Second part, Sheffield United defensive double up or even a triple up?
Well, we'll just hot take them one at a time. Sterling and De Bruyne, will they survive Pep Roulette this weekend? Yes is my answer.
Yeah, I'm going yes as well. I think they're rested midweek, especially De Bruyne. If Sterling starts midweek, then maybe he's rested, but I think he's going to be rested, as will De Bruyne.
I think he's going to be minding De Bruyne all season. You've seen him being taken off for 75 minutes. You've seen him rested in matches. I think it's quite clear from the last 2 matches that he was rested in, Wolves and Norwich, that City are not the same team when De Bruyne is not there, at least in my opinion. So I don't think he wants to be resting De Bruyne, so he will manage his minutes just to get him in the league, I think.
I think he watches the Leicester City demolish job of Southampton the weekend, and he goes, these guys are defensively like a wet paper bag.
Should be able to beat them in 60 minutes.
Like, let me put Angelino up centre forward.
Yeah, we'll see. Next question. Sheffield United defensive double up or even triple up? Are you fucking mad?
No, I think I actually don't hate it. I mean, if you're going for a keeper, I think you can do worse than Henderson. Henderson's been doing better than Pope lately.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to have Lundstram. That's a certainty. So, Lundstram and Henderson, I can go with that. I also really like the look of like Baldock and like O'Connell and stuff like that. I think they've been looking good. They're very attacking.
I think, like, if you look at
I don't know, though.
Sheffield's next couple of fixtures, they've got Burnley up next. That's a decent run, and I do expect them to keep that to a minimum. I'd be surprised if Burnley break the clean sheet there. But, like, after that, they're away to Tottenham, at home to Man United, and away to Wolves. That's not something that's got me too intrigued with Sheffield United in terms of doubling up, because I agree with you 100% there, Seamus. I think Lundstram is, we got him at 4 million. He's now 4.6, but, like, at that 4 million price bracket, you couldn't ask for better than a starting out of position defender.
Yeah, I will say this. When I was making my decision at the weekend as to whether to start, it was always between Fredericks, who had a home game, or to start, who were they against?
I think Lundstram against Watford or something.
Oh yeah, they were against each other, yeah. So I had to decide whether to start Lundstram away to West Ham or Fredericks at home to Sheffield United.
Soyuncu be damned.
Yeah, Soyuncu was kind of going to go down because they both had good fixtures. And look, Lundstram,
but not as good as Soyuncu. I couldn't even believe you played Lundstram over Soyuncu.
Like Leicester's defensive stats have been quite good, but that game all swung on like a red card in the 11th minute.
Leicester have been, fair enough. I'm not saying that the game didn't swing on it, but whether they were going to keep a clean sheet or not, it's not like Southampton's been banging in goals all season.
No, but like they're at home and they need a good performance. I was thinking they'd at least breach them once.
No, fair enough. But anyway, back to
it. The reason I went with that is I looked at Southampton or Sheffield United's stats, and away from home, I think I'm going to get these backwards. I think they had the third best away expected goals against. So I was like, oh, they're actually quite good. And then I looked at West Ham's expected goals against for home games, and they had the fifth worst. So maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's third worst for West Ham and fifth best for Sheffield United. But I was like, oh, so there's actually a better chance of statistically on expected goals of Sheffield United keeping an away clean sheet than West Ham at home. And West Ham were rubbish against Everton.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe he doesn't learn his lesson and he keeps the team the same. No, he didn't. He brought in Snodgrass, changed it up, and West Ham did have a lot of attacking threat. So, yeah, that I didn't get the bonus for that. But the point being, Sheffield United away from home are quite good, and we know what they're like at home.
But you're yay for Sheffield United defensive double-up or nay?
I wouldn't be against it, but from game week 14 on.
Yeah, fair enough. I think one is more than enough for a newly promoted team, defensively speaking, especially if you can get in there with a Lundstram. I wouldn't be looking at any more, but completely understand your logic there, Seamus. Next part of that, Gazzaniga worth a shot at Spurs.
I'm going to say, yeah, I think he might be. I wasn't sure when they brought in Michel Vorm, because I thought, look, maybe he's brought him in because he doesn't like Gazzaniga, but it looks more like that he just wants to have backup, because other than Gazzaniga there, it's not worth it. But look, he got what, 12? How many points? 8 points this week. He made 12 saves.
Yeah, no, he had a great game against Liverpool, and I think when you look at the options out there at his price range, I mean, what's Gazzaniga now, 4.6 or something like that?
He was 4.4 when he first came into the team. Did he go up?
I think he's gone up. I think he's at 4.5, 4.6 now. Look, you're getting into Spurs' defensive line for less than 5 million. That's always going to be attractive.
Yeah.
Whether or not they can keep any clean sheets is something that's a little less decided. I don't think you've seen a whole lot from Spurs to suggest that they're extremely tight at the back. Now, their fixtures, when you look at it, that might kind of tell a bit of a different story. They're away to Everton. We know Everton, although they have scored in the last couple of weeks, not particularly kind of potent in the final third. But then they're at home to Sheffield United, away to West Ham, at home to Bournemouth, and away to Man United. For the price, I don't know. I'd still rather be looking at the likes of a Pope, or, as you said, even maybe a Henderson if you didn't have a Lundstram, and the price has kind of gone to the stage now where maybe it's not even worth getting Lundstram in anymore,
Yeah, I think I like the fixtures though. I think
nice fixtures,
Sheffield United at home in game week 12 seems like a good chance for a clean sheet. Bournemouth have blanked in their last two now. I know that's game week 14. They could turn that around in their next few. West Ham are really hit and miss. I don't know, but West Ham, that's a London derby, and West Ham always do really well against Spurs. Well, I think they have the last couple of times anyway. Everton aren't scoring, but Everton may have turned the corner. They were unlucky against Brighton. It looked like they had done enough to get their first away victory in a while. And I think I'd chance it. But there's always the likes of Aurier to do something fucking stupid now and give away a penalty. Like that penalty he gave away against Mane was just stupid. He had no awareness of where Mane was. Swinging a big mad leg. You don't have to fucking boot it out of the stadium. Just get anything on a toe, poke it out for a corner. Anything. You've already messed up. You're just after getting up off the ground after slipping. Like, just get rid of it. Instead, he's just like, okay, I'm going to give this the biggest boot I've ever given in my life. Oh, wait, I've taken a half an hour to swing my goddamn leg, and now I've given away a penalty, and Liverpool win it late.
So you're basically going yay on Gazaniga. So we're basically split down the middle on nearly all of these goddamn questions.
Yeah, I think I'm not immediately like, he's definitely... I think he's worth a shot. Yeah. That's the question. Is he worth a shot? He's worth a shot. Is he, someone I, like, put my mortgage on? No. But he's worth a shot.
Well, before we move on to our last segment, I just wanted to really note Lavalanche's pun there. He said, many drunk thanks for a great pod. Seamus, that seems to have gone over your head, but that's some top quality pun work right there.
Oh, that's drunk thanks with a H.
Yes, with a H.
Drunk thanks with
See what
drunk
it is
thanks.
there? I love it. I love that.
That's the sort of stuff that gets you into the drunk tank.
But look, we'll wrap the drunk tank up there, and we're fucking running low on time already, so we're going to bait straight into our next segment. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Balls to the Wall. So it's been neck and neck for the last couple of weeks. I think it's been 4-4 with our puck fadas and our long shots. This week was a bit of a rubber match between you and me, Seamus, just to see who has bragging rights for at least 7 more fucking days. Mm-hmm. And I don't usually remember the picks that we do or any of that kind of stuff, but I do have a sneaky suspicion that I might have regained top spot this week, Seamus.
Yeah, you nailed it. I had first pick, and my first pick was Sterling, which I was happy with, 11 points. You had the next 2 picks, and you nailed it.
Yeah, I went with Aubameyang and...
No. That's my second pick. You went with... You can never read these.
You write them backwards.
I put my picks on top and your picks next.
Yeah, exactly.
G2, G3. You'd pick 2. You went with De Bruyne. Obviously trying to get in on that Man City fixture. And you went with Vardy. So look, both those guys returned. That's 26 points from those 2 players.
Yeah.
My next pick then was Aubameyang, who did dig all. So yeah, 26 points to 13. Great picks. Vardy alone.
Yeah, I think Vardy, I mean, like, he just came good. You had the Man City one nailed, but, like, yeah, I mean, I can't say much in terms of Vardy, considering I didn't have him in my FPL team. So, look, I'm happy I had a bit of Vardy action this week, and that gives me the lead with 5-4. Am I right there?
That's
with the
right.
shots?
Yeah, I believe so.
Right.
Next picks were the Puck Fadas, and it was your pick first. You went with Lacazette.
Oh, boom.
Yeah,
Lacazette.
nice differential. He did get an assist, I believe. I haven't checked
He
on
did.
FPL. So that would have given him 5 points. I don't know if he got a yellow or anything like that. But my next pick was Traore for Wolves, and didn't do anything there. So just the 2 points for him.
But yeah, I was very happy with Lacazette picking up the assist there, and that again giving me the kind of the edge in our puck fadas, which puts me ahead of you there as well. 5-4.
Yeah, I believe that's 5-4 there too. And to make it a clean sweep, you also won the Breen Sheets.
Boom!
By default, because I backed my own boy there, Fredericks, for West Ham, and he didn't play a minute, so he got 0 points, and you won by default by Dunk getting 1.
Well, I think when you see the kind of free kicks that Dunk is going to be taking from now on, Seamus, you can see why he's such a elite member of the FPL team.
When the hell did he start taking free kicks? I didn't know that. Oh, must be said, actually, seems we barely even touched on the Brighton game. Like, how good was Connolly this weekend? Looked good.
Yeah, I mean, FPL wise, 2 fantasy assists. For his price, like, exactly what you want to be seeing. know, but my only concern, and it's not a concern, but I'm looking at Maupe as well. Do you know, like, Maupe's got 3 goals this season or something like that?
He's doing well.
He's tipping away for that 6 million price bracket with Connolly 4.4. Like, that's just something that's so handy that you can actually get in a bottom of the barrel forward that's playing and picking up attacking returns right now.
If you have Greenwood or Wickham and they're still in your team and you need an out, there's your out. I don't know how much longer he'll be in the team, but he looks like he's going to be involved for at least this side of Christmas. Anyway, maybe he loses his place after a while, but he looks like he's involved for the next few game weeks.
Yeah, and speaking of involved, Trossard made his much anticipated return to the Premier League this weekend.
And was excellent.
Yeah, fantastic. Excellent. And I think, like, I had him at the start of the season. I will be hesitant to get back on Brighton right now. I mean, with their fixtures, they have Man United, Leicester, Liverpool and Arsenal in the next 5. So they have a nice fixture this week against Norwich, a nice home match, which, yeah, if you had the likes of a Connolly or a Maupay, yeah, you're going to be, licking your lips going into that. But followed by United, Leicester, Liverpool, Arsenal, no, I think I'll ease off on the Brighton pedal there for a little while.
I'd be tempted to go for one of them if the rest of your team is looking good. Like 2 of their next 3. I mean, I know Leicester are tough, but they are at home. That Norwich game, this would be the week to buy someone if you want and take a punt on them, but
I think for Connolly, considering you're paying 4.6, 4.7 for him, yeah.
Oh, even less. Is he maybe 4.6 max?
I think he's 4.6 now. But if you're paying that, you don't really mind, the tough fixtures, because realistically, you're not going to be, looking to start him in every game week. I mean, that's the way I'd approach a 4.6 forward.
We've got distracted.
We've only gone and got distracted again.
So we'll move on to this week's hot shots, okay? And you would first pick this week after
So I beat you on your serve last week.
Yeah.
Oh, boom. So this week, I don't think I had first pick, actually. You had first pick.
No, you'd first pick.
Okay. So this week I went with Sterling.
Yeah, you went with Sterling. So it's kind of a reverse of last week.
That's probably what's strong.
I've gone with KDB. Yeah. So it was the same last week, and a
home match against Southampton. We've talked about it a lot already, so we won't go into it. Not a lot needs to be said. I think both of us will be looking at those 2 players for our attacking returns.
If I could pick 4 players for Man City this week, I would.
Yeah,
but that's not the rules, or that's the rules that we can't do that. My next pick then is there was a few interesting fixtures. I like Liverpool against Aston Villa. I know Aston Villa can be tough, especially at home, but I think they can, they concede the goals against Man City. I think they can be got at, and Salah looked like he might. I don't know what his injury status is, but he didn't look comfortable coming off the pitch. So I'm back in Mane, even though it's away from home.
Yeah, Salah is meant to be training with Liverpool, so I don't think there's cause for much concern. But yeah, I think going into next week, as we're only picking kind of 1 week shots, Mane seems to be the Liverpool player of choice. I, though, have gone back to old faithful Arsenal. They've never let me down before. Aubameyang, he's my 4th pick this week. I think it's a little bit because he's in my FPL team, and fucking, this is make or break for him this week. If he doesn't put a goal past Wolves, then I'm not sure I'll keep him any longer. I mightn't even keep him for this week, depends. But I'm going Aubameyang. I'm doubling down on him for my for my hot shots and in my actual FPL team. I reckon he's good for a goal. I reckon Arsenal are good for a couple against Wolves.
Yeah, I think Aubameyang doesn't normally go too many games without a goal, so I think just in the law of averages, I feel like he could be in for something this week.
Yeah, the mood in Arsenal.
With Lacazette back, and they went very attacking this week. They went Lacazette, Pepe, Aubameyang, and what's his face? Ceballos?
Yeah.
However you pronounce his name. They had all 4 in the starting lineup this week, and they got off to a good start and got 2 early goals.
Yeah, the mood in the Arsenal camp, though, is not going to be too good right now. I mean, they lost last week to Sheffield United. They threw away a 2-0 lead against Crystal Palace this week. So
their captain is
acting a maggot.
Yeah, is antagonising the fans.
Yeah, so it'll be if I wasn't, if this wasn't a 1 week hotshot, I probably would be steering clear of Arsenal right now in the long run. Yeah. But if you have him in your team already, as I do, I think, he's definitely good for a goal this week. That's my hot shot.
Which are the same as mine from last week, as it turns out.
Really?
Yeah.
So you went Sterling Aubameyang last week. Man, this podcast is getting so run-of-the-mill.
Puck Fada time. I'd first picked this time, and a man you mentioned earlier, Maupay. That's who I've gone for. They've got a nice home game against Norwich. As I said, I think if you're on him, you hold. I don't know if you buy, but if you're going to buy, a home game against Norwich seems like a good time to take a chance. Who knows what they can do against United in game week 12 and Leicester again game week 13, but then it's pretty tough. But for this game week alone, I can see goals against that Norwich team. He seems to be in good form. I like him.
I completely agree. I think Brighton look like like the absolute opposite of what they were last season in the sense of their attacking threat, and it's kind of a joy to watch them. And I think Maupay this week is on course for to continue that nice run he's had since the start of the season.
And on penalties when Murray's not on the pitch, as it turns out.
Yeah, which is most of the time, unfortunately enough for Maupay. And speaking of penalties, my pick of the game week is Martial. He's sneaking in the under the percentage limit at 5%. 4.5 right now. I think he banged in a goal. I think it was a goal and assist this week, Seamus.
Never got to. I think he only got a goal. I'll have to double check.
Well, either way, he did get some attacking returns this week. Kind of, which is what people were expecting. And just the goal. So I assume
and a missed
penalty. Exactly. So I mean, I think United are good for a goal against Bournemouth next week. Bournemouth are. I don't know. I know they've kept 2 clean sheets on the bounce now, I believe. But I don't fancy them keeping a third. I don't think they look great at the back. And I think Martial looks like he might have a bit between the teeth once again.
Yeah, they scored more than one away goal for the first time in a while. So they got 3 goals, and the first game of the season was the last time.
3 goals and 2 missed penalties.
And 2 missed penalties, yeah. Of which Martial missed 1. So it's still up in the air as to whether he's on penalties or not. That needs to be cleared up. But his link up with Rashford was excellent, and they just look a much, much better attacking team with him in the squad, in the starting 11.
You almost don't want him to get penalties. Yeah. That's the way it's going.
You saw did you see the stat on Match of the Day? Their average goals with their average points per game with Martial in the team under Solskjaer versus without him in the team, and their average goals scored per game with him in the team versus without. It's like, oh, I don't have it at hand. But it's like at least double. It's like they pick up like 1.1 points per game with Martial in the team, and they pick up like 1.8 with him in the team.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. And
he makes a difference as well.
Like they score a whole lot more goals within the team, and that's not surprising because he's a quality player. He stretches teams. He can actually play the centre forward role in more ways than Rashford can. And they just link up really well. So I really like that, and he's somebody I'm thinking about getting in my team.
Oh, well, that's interesting. That's one we'll save for another pod, a Martial conundrum. But no, he is my puck fodder this week, and I think at the moment he is, that definition of a puck fodder. But that brings us to the last bit, and that's our Breen sheets, named after the late great Gary Breen. And I had first
pass away.
He didn't, no. But I've started that now, and it just rolls off the tongue too well, Seamus.
He's just always late.
Yeah, yeah, and he's a fantastic footballer. But so I had first pick in the Breen sheets, and I went with a player that we talked about, at the top of the pod, Lord Lundstrom. He's at home to Burnley. I think Sheffield are good for a clean sheet. Burnley not looking too attacking right now. I mean, they got 2 against Chelsea this week, one of which was deflection, and the other one was a cracker from outside the box. So it's not like they were ripping Chelsea to shreds. So I just think Sheffield United are a pretty solid team at home, and it's going to take a bit of work to break them down. I don't know if Burnley have that potency in their attack for that. So I'm going Lundstrom.
Yeah, and Wood was out last week, so I don't know if he's out for much longer. We'll have to see what happened with that. I've gone for Dunk. Brighton, I'm sticking with the Brighton at home to Norwich game. Norwich just look like relegation candidates. They may score goals. Pukki, is still a good player, but they haven't been scoring much away from home. The goal they scored against this week against United was a mistake from McTominay in the last couple of minutes of the game. So yeah, Dunk for me, he's the best he's the best defender on the Brighton team.
See, I'm not entirely convinced with Brighton defensively. So, we're going to have this chat next week, especially when it turns out I'm right and Brighton conceded 3 goals. But before we wrap it up, we did get another drunk tank question this week, and it's one we nearly skipped. If it wasn't for me being on top of my fucking game, we would have forgot it. But no, we're here. Yeah. And this is FPL Rouge, Seamus? No, Rogue.
Rogue. He doesn't like being called Rouge.
No.
FPL Rogue, yeah, good call. We nearly let this one slip through the net, and it must have been all that talk about Martial, actually, that he was asking, now that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer seems to have settled on a 4-2-3-1 system, and with Martial at the top as their number 9, is he and other United assets worth considering? So I've said, yeah, I'm thinking of bringing in Martial. I think he's the best option there. Rashford's look good as well, but I prefer the cheaper option and the out of position option, where you get more points for the goals, and I think he will score. I think Martial will score more than Rashford this year.
Yeah, I think so too. Although I'd say there won't be much between them, but look, I think
Not a whole lot, no.
we've kind of tipped on Martial and Rashford there in the last thing, and that is maybe what was going to jar my brain, but I think it was actually his follow-up question that reminded me that there was another one left in the dirt.
Yeah, I allowed Barnes 3 weeks of blanking, so I should extend the same to Alba. Very relevant question to you, Jer. If he does blank, then where do I invest, considering I have Vardy and Tommy up front? He has Sterling, KDB and Mount, so he's got kind of what I would call it, a bit of a template midfield. He's got TAA and Ederson at the back as well, so he's got good defence there. So he doesn't know where to spread the money. All others won't offer the same dollar delta to go Alba to Mane. Okay. So yeah, I would say kind of like maybe drop Alba and see if there's any way you could get to Mane, but I guess what he's saying is he can't really get to that. What do you think? This is relevant to you because you have Aubameyang. You think should he? You've gone 2 weeks with a blank. Should he go to the third? You're going to the third week.
I'm going to the third week more than likely. Look, to be honest with you, as you said there, you don't have the funds to go back to Liverpool attacking asset. Then you've got two options. I'd be looking at either Firmino or Jimenez. Firmino, just because it gives you that Liverpool coverage. I assume, it obviously isn't going to be too difficult to go from Alba to Firmino, considering he costs less. So I think that would be an option if you really wanted to just get in on top of that Liverpool run of fixtures. Liverpool having a pretty nice stretch after the City game in game week 12. Crystal Palace, Brighton, Everton, Bournemouth and Watford. But I think Jimenez, as kind of Seamus pointed out in last week's episode, is a bit of a shrewd pick right now. Didn't do much this week. I'm not entirely convinced by Wolves, but I know after the Arsenal match this week, and maybe even including the Arsenal match, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Sheffield, West Ham and Brighton, even Spurs and Norwich in the following game weeks, they're all fixtures that I wouldn't have a problem with Jimenez sitting in my team for.
No, and I did say, look, I liked Martial, but if you have got a striker spot up there that's open, Rashford could be a great shout to go with. As I said, I probably would keep Aubameyang for a game against Wolves, just to see how that goes, because he's a quality player. I think he's on penalties. I mean, I know he gave the last one to Pepe to take, but that was kind of more so for Pepe's confidence. You'd expect him to be still on the penalties. And Wolves have been slow starters. I don't know. I'd stick with him this week, and if it's poor, then you can easily move to Rashford next week. For a home game against Brighton, then away to Sheffield, at home to Aston Villa. Those are 3 nice games to give Rashford an all spell. Or, as you said, I like the Jimenez pick too.
Well, that's perfect. Look, we're running way over time. It's been a bit of a bumper episode this week. It must be the 9 o'clock start, Seamus. We just had so much energy.
Yeah, I'm going to have to run. I got work to go to.
You do. But luckily, you don't have far to go. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions this week. Thank you all. I want to wish you all a enjoyable game week 11.
May your hours be green, folks.
God bless.